Welcome to this weekend's episode of In the Shop. So, a lot going on this weekend. Alright, so here we are back in the shop again. It's been a little while. I took last weekend off because I had the flu. Glad to see the flu had made a comeback. It's upset that I'm the one that got it. So, anyway, let's see, my last video we talked about. Boy, that guy's shirt right there says it all. We're gonna let him ramble on for a minute about what's been going on and blah, 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 blah. All right, but we're gonna talk about some face frames. This is the second time I'm doing face frames. I got everything cut out, everything laid out, and ended up using pocket holes for a 1/2 inch material instead of 3/4. I thought I could save it. I couldn't. I ended up trashing it all. This is my second attempt. So, all right, let's watch this. Drawer fails. I bought some zero clearance inserts for my table saw. I'm gonna see if that helps my quarter method drawers come out a little bit better. I don't really want to pocket screw everything. I like to, kind of push myself a little bit and try and get those good joints. So we're gonna try that. We've already built this set of cabinets. We need to finish out this set. So we need to put face frames on it. We need to put drawer slides, build some drawers, and decide. I think I'm gonna do a set of drawers in the middle and 2 cabinet doors on either end. What that's gonna allow me to do is possibly have a cabinet for small dust extractor and 1 cabinet for trash can. 3 more drawers. I was gonna do all drawers, but I decided to kind of break that up a little bit. Just because the drawers that I built over here are great. They're awesome. I just don't know if I have enough stuff to fill them, really. I'm sure I do, but. So that's what we're gonna attempt to do. So today, face frames, drawer slides, build some drawers, maybe get this thing done, okay, between today and tomorrow. So here we go, let's do some face frames. So you guys have seen 1,000 people make videos about doing face frames. I'm gonna use the old trusty Craig and we're gonna pocket hole these together. So I'm gonna try not to talk so I can just speed right through it. How about that? All right, so we got our pocket holes drilled. Now let's put the pocket screws to it. See if we can make a face frame. Jesus, he's moving. All right, so you saw him messing around with some squares and some clamps and whatever. Hey, look, I tried to put 2 pocket holes per bore. They're 1.5 inches. Using the right screws and everything. I was getting some splitting issues, so I decided to put 1 screw per joint. I'm gonna square this thing up when I attach the face frame to the carcass. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so to get this face frame on here, I just flipped the carcass on its back. If you notice, I only put 1 pocket screw in each corner, in each one, even though I had drilled 2 holes. The very first one I put the 2nd screw in, I started to hear it crack. And I thought to myself, well, this thing's gonna be held together with some glue and some brads anyway. So that's really just to keep it together and keep it tight while I get it attached to the carcass. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. My middle set is gonna be a set of drawers. So in this lip, I wanna make sure that I'm accounting for the slide. So I'm gonna have to put some support pieces in there in order to do that. So, all right, I got my compressor aired up Brad Naylor right there. Let's throw some glue on this thing and get it put together. All right, so we got the supports done. We got the face frame on. The supports are for to offset the slides, get them out past the face frame. So what's next is to start cutting some drawer box pieces. So I'm gonna cut those so that I can use a quarter method. If I find that I can't do that because I'm still having problems getting, with fitment issues, then I can trim them off a little bit and use pocket holes. I prefer not to do that. I really, really wanna do quarter. I think it's a lot stronger. So I'm gonna use one of my favorite new tools. I'm gonna use my Kreg track saw. I love this thing. So easy to use, gives me such a great cut. I cannot recommend this enough. This thing is amazing. Like I said, link down in the description below. The link, so I'm an Amazon affiliate. If you buy from my link, it doesn't cost you any extra. Unfortunately, I can't give you a discount because I don't have a big enough channel yet. However, it gives me a few cents of commission. So we'll see how that works out. All right, let's cut some drawer boxes. I'm also using another one of my favorite tools. It's the Incra Pocket Square. I'm going to show you a little bit more about this when we're cutting the dados for the quarter method. All right, you get it. He's cutting a bunch of drawer pieces. Some sides, some fronts, some backs. Let's talk more about this dado setup he's talking about and how we're going to use this Incra Pocket Square to really help us out. All right? All right, let's see what he's got to say. What I really like about this Incra Pocket Square is that you can stand it up on end, get your dado stack perfect, and see exactly that's at the 8:30 seconds. Okay, so that's 1/4 inch. Okay, so I want to get my dado stack in here. Already measured it out. We got one blade. I got these 3 spacers, these shims. I want to make sure that my teeth are not side by side. I want to make sure they're offset so they don't skew the squareness of the blade or the trueness of the blade. Of course, my table saw is unplugged. All right, now I'm going to use the Incra Pocket Square to measure all this out, but in my last video that I posted about the drawer fails, it's because I didn't have one of these. Okay, zero clearance insert. I put a link for these down in the description. The instructions tell you that you actually have to sand that a little bit so you get this perfect fit. Okay, they come just a touch oversized. Okay, so I want to make sure that my fence is 1/4 inch from my blade. I can lay the pocket square right in there, touch that first tooth, and just move my fence over just a little bit. Then you use the Incra Pocket Square to measure 1/4 inch up. Now that's perfect right there. So my blade is 1/4 inch up, 1/4 inch from the fence. I'm gonna run a test piece through there. Oh, and these come, there's 2 blank ones like this. I'm sorry, there's 1 blank one like that. There's 2 that have a spot for a riving knife. This one I've actually already cut my blade up through it, so this is my normal blade. This one being my dado blade. And then I have another one if I wanted to do, let's say, a 1/2 inch or a 3/4 or a thin curve. So when I'm getting ready to run my test pieces through, I like to mark them so that I know that it's going to be on the right side or whatever. I want to make sure that I do this exactly the way I would do the drawer. So I'm going to mark this as the front, and that's also the same as the back. And then this one would be the side. Okay. The side is going to be easy. We're going to cut one dado across the bottom, 1/4 inch for the drawer bottom, and we're going to do one on each end. Okay. Now on the fronts, we're going to do kind of it a little bit different. So the piece that you're going to be able to see, we want to dado that out, but we're going to stand it up to do it. Okay, so we're going to dado these out. You're going to flip it over. That's where your dado for your bottom's going to go. Okay, so with the side, we would run it through this way, and this way, all flat. On the fronts and the backs, we're going to do it one time with my marks facing up. We're going to do it one time this way, and then we're going to put those marks and run it this way. Okay? All right, let's give this a try. I'm going to run this piece first because I know that when I run this through, if anything, I will have just a very thin piece of paper right here on the edge. So I want to see how close I am without burning through my template boards. So here we go. So there's my first cut. Okay, that's on the front. Now we're going to do one side. Now these should fit together. Jeez, I got it first shot. Now I do not mind just a little tiny bit of slop in there because I'm going to fill that full of glue. Okay, look at that joint right there. That's pretty good. Okay, I'm a little proud right here. I'm okay with that. Now I'm going to run this one more time without making any adjustments. See if make sure that it's good to go. So I will mark the ones that I've already done as one. Okay, same result. Now I do not have, and this is really the reason that I'm okay with a little bit of air gap in there, I guess, is because I do not have, my dado stack does not cut flat on the bottom. Okay, and that is not flat. It's got a little bit, it's a little deeper on the edges than it is in the middle. If I try to get that perfect, which I've tried in the past, and it does not work. Okay, now, I'm going to treat this, so I'm going to cut this bottom here, the bottom groove for the drawer bottom, and I'm going to use this piece instead of as my front and back. Now I'm going to use that as my bottom and make sure that my bottom is going to fit in the way I want to. Okay? As we can see, because the bottom is cut the same as the fronts and backs, it's just all the way around. So get it like that. That is going to be my drawer bottom. Now you could also do the same thing if you were using 1/4 inch plywood as your bottom. What I don't like about this is that this 1/4 inch that I get it, the big box store is not close to 1/4 inch. So I don't want to have to change my dado setup. I can just cut the same exact thing that I've done, use the same setup and cut them all out and use 1/2 inch plywood. Might be a little bit more expensive, but it's definitely stronger. All right, let's get these cut out. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go mark I'm gonna do all of my sides, and then I'll come back and do all of my fronts and backs. All right, so now we got our pieces for our drawer box. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of the small ones. I'll show you how I figure out how big to make the bottom. It's very simple. It's done off of reference, okay? Not a lot of measuring. Okay, I put the drawer box together. I know that the long side of my drawer is 2 feet. I still have 4 feet of plywood here. If you've ever measured 16 on center studs, you don't actually measure center to center. You measure outside of one to inside of the other, right? Does that make sense? So if I line up my drawer, now I want to make sure that my box is squared to my piece of plywood. All right, perfect. I'm right up against the edge here and on the back. So if I make a mark with my pencil on the inside, I'm not going to draw the whole thing out, because if this thing is not square, I don't want it to be all cattywampus, all right? But I'm going to make a couple of marks, and then if I were to cut that on that line, that's going to be halfway into my piece of plywood, because I've cut a 1/4 inch into this 1/2 inch plywood. So I've taken away half of the depth, and I've taken away half of the depth here. So my box bottom, my drawer bottom, needs to be center to center. So if I put it up against the edge here, measure on the inside here, that's gonna give me my center to center. I can always trim that up a little bit on the table saw if I need to. So, done with this for right now. I'm gonna measure those marks I just made. Okay, 19 7/8. That's the same exact size as the front and the back were cut to, 19 7/8. Okay, 19 7/8. So I know that that is correct. Now, this one here, just a whisker over 23 1/2. What does that give me? That gives me a 1/4 inch for that to set into on each side. Use the track saw again. And if you all are paying attention, this is going to give us 2 drawer bottoms. I'm going to be just shy of that line. I don't mind having a little bit of room in there for that to move. Take this right over to the table saw. I'm just going to cut out that rabbit real quick. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. Let's see how she fits. Perfect. So far. I'm not done yet. Hold on. One more piece, but I know this piece fit earlier. So. Just that easy. I could probably forget to glue this, brad nail it. Probably never come apart, ever in its life. But we're gonna go ahead and pop it apart, cut the other one to match, so we have 2 out of the 3 done. And then we just gotta cut one more. All right, so we're gonna throw this drawer together. I'm gonna do the big one first. All right, so as you can see over here, we've got our drawers installed. Now, we need to turn this baby into some drawer fronts and maybe some doors too. I'm not sure yet. All right, so what I did with my other set of drawers is try to match the grain. So what I'm gonna do with this one is I'm gonna cut out a rough cabinet door on this side. I'll cut my drawer fronts out of the middle, and that's what I'm actually ready to install is the drawer front. So, but I don't want to do that from the end because I want the grain to kind of match. Because I don't know how I'm going to finish these yet. You know, that may or may not make a difference. So I'm going to measure out a rough opening for the door and for the drawer fronts, and then the other door, and I'm going to kind of draw that out first and see what we got, see what it looks like. Like I said, I'm doing this so that my fronts all match. All right, so now that I have my right-hand cabinet door, my drawer fronts, my left door, I'm gonna set these off to the side. I've marked top on each one. All right, so now I'm gonna cut out my drawer fronts. I need to measure the total height of that I want all of the drawer fronts to equal, okay? So I want them to equal 30 5/8. Now the good thing about doing it this way is I have a very minimal gap between the drawer fronts, and it equals just about my blade width. All right, so what we got now is I'm gonna put my drawer pulls on first. There's a reason why, and that's because I'm using 3/4 inch plywood for my drawer fronts, and I have a 1/2 inch plywood drawer box. I didn't want to go buy new screws, so I'm just countersinking the screws into the back side of the drawer front, putting the drawer pull on, and then attaching it to the drawer box. So what I have here is a King & Charles hardware kit. We'll see how it works out. Definitely not a review on that product. Make sure that my countersink is all the way in there so that it's not pushing up against my drawer box and throwing the geometry of my drawer front off. Okay, that looks good there. At least having some type of hardware jig works out really well. Really helps at least get the holes, you know, the proper distance apart, you know, that 3 inch. Instead of trying to make a whole bunch of measurements. Okay, so that's good there. Well, hey there. How we doing? Oh, all right. So, what I like to do to get my drawer fronts done is I'm going to use my gripper. I like to use the gripper. I'll use a little piece of 1/4 inch plywood underneath. I have leveling feet on this cabinet, so that kind of throws the measurements off. I could screw something up underneath. However, in order to do that, I have to like have a really short drill. or something. So I like to do this, and I'll use a couple of shims underneath that 1/4 inch plywood to make sure I get my spacer exactly where I want it. All right, so once I do that, I can take my first drawer, set it on here, get it lined up with my marks, cut some 1/8 inch hardwood shims to put in there. That's how much of a gap I want. Make sure my drawers are all gonna operate the way they're supposed to. Okay, and kind of make sure I didn't mess anything up. And my gap up here looks pretty good. I've got a top that's gonna overhang, so I did leave a little extra. So that's what we're looking like. Even though my drawers might be slightly off, kilter a little, you know, a 1/16 of an inch or whatever, it doesn't really matter because my drawer fronts are gonna be right. So get that clamped in place, nice and easy. Pull that out. All right, so what I'm gonna use for this is some Kreg panhead screws that they bite a lot quicker than any other screw that I have. And I don't want to blow through the front, so that's what I'm using. They grip really well in plywood. Okay, and that sets the measurements for all the rest of them. So now, throw my spacer up there, my next drawer, make sure my grain matches the way I want to. It's not upside down, right? Get that lined up on the edges. Give me a couple clamps. And my screws. There we have it. I can still do a little bit of cleaning up here, but I like it. For the door hardware, I'm using this Kreg jig to inset these 1¼ inch overlay hinges. Really like this jig. It's pretty simple to use, but serves me well. Set the hinge in the hole. I really need to charge up my other batteries. Using the self-centering drill bit, drill some holes, screw them in. These actually take a square bit, just like the Kreg screws. Really like that. And any minute now, we're actually gonna go over and hang this door. So I'm using my gripper again, get the proper placement. I did clamp this board into place just to make sure it didn't move. Yeah, we'll use that clamp right there. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. Let's clamp that into place so this thing doesn't move as I set the edge of the door up on that support. Put it on there, put my couple of screws into face frame. It's gonna look like I nailed this first shot, even though through the magic of editing, I got rid of the two shots that the door didn't quite line up right. So there we go. Looks pretty good. To finish the whole thing off, I doubled up a couple of pieces of 3/4 inch oak plywood. All I had to edge band it with was some maple. That's what I did on the other one too. Still gonna do a little sanding, figure out how I'm gonna finish this, and well, put it to use. So hey, thanks for watching this series of organizing the garage. It's come a long way. I'm gonna put a video up of the transformation, what it used to look like, what it looks like now, and what we got coming up in the future. It was a fun build, learned a lot. Would have done some things different for sure, but thanks for watching. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, like the series, and comment, please. Please comment if there's something you like, something you want to see more of. You know, let's get a good community going. All right.